This is my third look through my personal Bally Astrocade collection. This is for boxes 4, 5, and 6. Inside this video, you'll see me find my Astrocade console that works, another one that is, some stuff from Ward Shrakes on his Multicart, some 3D printed Astrocade shells, some wave files on CD from George Moses, some multi documentation, several Muncher cartridges, a whole bunch of Best of Arcadian 1980 tapes, a couple of new in box cartridges, and an interesting World Series Major League Baseball reproduction box, and additional multiple hand controllers, color basic prototype cartridge, a Keypad Overlay that's one of a kind for the ADS monitor prototype ROM, little white RAM installation CD, TV switch box for the Bally, another prototype ROM for the Rainbow. You'll see the computer ear voice recognition unit, a power supply for the Blue RAM expansion, and much more. Enjoy the video. Welcome back to, I guess this is going to be the third video in the series on the collection I have on the Astrocade. Now we see that I have 3 boxes. Last video I did 3 boxes. These ones are both a little more empty and a little more full in certain ways, and they might require more time to go through, in which case if that's going to happen then I will break this up into a couple different videos. These are all labeled as Astrocade. This one is labeled as 2 Astrocade working units. I packed this up on July 9th, 2012. This one had the system that I have currently set up in my office, and this system that is set up is the one I accidentally, when I was making my plastic vinyl cover video a couple of weeks ago, that I zapped with static electricity and I killed. Speaking of static, I just remembered I'm wearing my shoes that caused that, so I need to take those off, which I will do during a little intermission here. But otherwise, I've got another box labeled Astrocade. This one has some cartridges. Now I've got part of the Bob Fabris collection here. Honestly, I don't know. I do know that some of the boxes in here are labeled with my address, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to get around that, so I might cover them with tape or something like that before I open this box. So I will actually peek into this box and maybe that box a little bit before I look with the camera, which is kind of a shame, but I've made some efforts in my last video to hide some personal information and how to make some edits, because some of the my address was actually on some of the some of the boxes that were inside of here, or inside those other boxes. And here we have cables and setup and carts for my regular setup. So if you're an Astrocade user and you actually use Astro Basic, you'll know that you need a variety of cables, depending on if you're using Bally Basic or Astro Basic, and what your setup is for your phone to load programs, or for your computer, or if you're using a tape recorder still, which maybe someone is out there doing, then you'll know that you need different stuff. So I'll open these up, go through them all again like I did in my last video, and when I'm all done with 18 or 20 boxes of boxes, I'm going to actually take out the stuff that I find most interesting and do close-ups of some of that and talk about some of that in particular. And I'm still got a goal of getting, this box here has a working Astrocade, and one of my boxes last time had a working Astrocade. So I need to I need to try to get my broken Astrocade up and running. And my friend, who I haven't talked to in a while, Ward, he did send me an Astrocade back to me a couple days ago that was broken, but I might be able to use some of it for parts. So Ward, if you're watching this, thank you very much. I appreciate it, even though we're not talking at the moment, or haven't lately. I appreciate you answering my letter and actually sending that back to me. In fact, you sent it the very next day, so I need to send you some shipping money. So that's the way it goes when you ship stuff through the mail. It ain't cheap anymore. All right, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to open these boxes, a couple of them anyway, myself, and tape over some of my addresses, and then you'll see me back shortly. This box is labeled as 2 Astrocades working from July 2012. There's actually only 1 unit in here. It's kind of buried underneath stuff to protect it. So we've got 2 packs of peanuts. We've got some newspapers. And then we have the actual unit itself. And it's no different than any other units I have. So I'm not going to take it out. It looks the same as any Astrocade. It actually looks a little bit cleaner, despite the fact that it's being kept in this horrible condition here. And inside I have 2 cartridges being held here. We've got Seawolf and Missile. Whoops, we've got Seawolf and Missile and the Bally Basic cartridge. And I have this one works well because for a while I thought I had some issues with some of my basic carts, but it turned out I was having issues with my cartridge slot. The reason I have Seawolf and Missile in here is because one time I was disassembling that program, and I did get quite a ways on it until I realized that Seawolf Missile, I mean, it's not a bad game, but it's really early and it doesn't take advantage of the Astrocade in many ways that I could. And so rather than delve deeply into how it worked, I just decided to give up on it, and which is fine. It's a play around, explore systems, and see what you can find when you're digging through code, hardware, things like that. That's what the enjoyment of this hobby is all about, you know. All right, I do want to point out something here. This says it was copyright 1981, but I think the last, I have the source code, the last disassembly that matches 100% of this is from December 1980. So in my eyes, I don't know why I don't remember this, but the Astrocade was re-released in 81 or 82. But I mean, Jay Fenton was doing the work on updating Astrobasic, or updating Bally Basic into Astrobasic well before then. So I bet I don't know how many months he spent on it, but probably he had the source code for Bally Basic and made some improvements so it could use this built-in 2000 baud interface. And maybe, I don't know, I guess he added some updates too. I'm not going to go through those now. Watch my video on Basic if you're interested in those. Let's jump into the next box. That one is box number 2, or actually I guess this is box number 4, and the next one will be box number 5. First, before I get into what's in this box, which is just labeled simply as Astrocade, I want to talk about something, and I'm not going to cover this book in particular, but just something about the hobby of classic video games. This book is something I just finished reading. It's from about a couple years ago, and it's currently the end of March 2021. And this book is called Media Snatcher by Carl Thurin. He's a person from Canada. He wrote a book, a part of the Platform Studies series by MIT Press, that covers the TurboGrafx here in America, and also the PC Engine and various other titles. Here it says PC, Core, Turbo, Engine, Graphics, 16, CD-ROM 2, Super, Duo, Arcade, RX. If you ask me, the title should have been a little simplified. And the reason I'm covering this is I bought it March 3rd, and I received it on March 10th and finished it a couple days later. And today's the 23rd, so it only took me a couple days to read. The book is pretty short. It's an academic book. It wasn't too much money, about $20, $25. It has some great bibliography in it. But something I've noticed about some of these platform studies books is I almost feel as if they've taken the fun out of video games, and they've made it so academic that, I mean, why are you playing around with video games at all if you're going to make it so dry? And it isn't the book that's dry, it's just that what they're talking about sometimes. And it's not, I'm not talking about this author here. He does a fine job. His book's pretty comprehensible, and I enjoy it. And I would recommend you buy it, actually, and even read it. What I'm trying to say is, what the fun part of classic gaming, to me, is what's inside this box. Okay, it's the fun that can be had with it. You can talk about video games all you want, which is what I'm doing here. And you don't have to listen. You can turn me off right now. You can give me a thumbs down. That's fine with me. I'm going to have fun no matter what you think of my video. But I think it's important to note that there are places for these academic studies, and I think they should be written. I mean, the bibliography of this book is about 30 pages or something like that. And I've already actually done some interlibrary loans for this book that sounds like great books. There's even one written like 10 years ago or something that's on classic gaming and collecting with like newsletters. And I was like, what? How did I not hear about this? It's because they're books that are part of the academic community, and not most people aren't going to read them because like this one isn't too expensive. This like one I said was $20 or $30. But some of the ones that the academic titles are like, I think the one I went to the library this afternoon, and I requested one that's like $80. And there's others that are $150. And who's buying those books except for colleges? If you want someone to read your books, I suggest you write them for an audience that can afford them. All right, enough about that. I'll put that book behind me. And I will get into the part of the hobby that I enjoy, which is, I want to say, I do enjoy reading those books, even the academic ones that are even kind of dry reading. But the fun part is, sharing, playing around, getting together with friends, chatting online. So what do we got here? This book is probably so full that it's going to take me a while to cover everything in here. I did go through this entire book, otherwise I wouldn't, I went through this entire box, otherwise I wouldn't remember what was in here. But like I was saying earlier, I had to cover up some of the stuff that was showing personal data, which is what I didn't realize I had to do in the first one. So in here we have just a plain white envelope. I don't really know what's inside of here. I think it's some information from Ken Lill, but I'm not positive. Oh no, this is information from Ward Shrakes. So this would be, oh wow. Okay, so this is, some of this is Arcadia information. Wow, some of this is even more older than that. So this here is Ward's interpretation in which he made his own Multicart back in, when did he do that? The 90s, April 26, 2001. So there you go, Ward 20 years ago did this. Inside here we have various information and stuff that he did to create his. He also made multicarts for the Arcadia 2001, which is what this sticker is from. And I'm not going to cover this in detail. All of this is actually on Bally Alley, or at least the pertinent information, maybe not some of the private information here that was sent just to me. But this is his list, so if you wanted to play Sea Devil, which he dumped from my personal cart, you'd put the dip switches in, so off, on, off, and then you'd be able to play Sea Devil. And I'm going to pause here because I won't even pause it. I'll just throw this stuff aside. All right, next we have up something I got from Lance Squire. He sent this to me in 2013 on June 14th. So June 14th, 2013, he sent me these. Wow, was that already? Wow, I can't believe how time is flying by. These are 3D printed carts that he made on his personal printer. Lance, if you're watching this, I would appreciate some comments. I know you have these on Thingiverse, and I think some people have actually used them. I don't even know if Lance realizes that, but I think there's a multi-cart out there that just was a handful of them that were made, but if you look really closely, you can see how this is a 3D printed. Works out great, and the files out there are for you to use if you want to use them. And this is supposed to match the one that was made by and released by Bally back in the 70s. So there's that. This is a neat project. I was supposed to test those out for him. Next up, we have some more CDs that I burned over the years. Nothing new here. I kind of went through some of these before, even though these are different copies. So this is music by that George Moses made. These are the WAV files. I should probably upload these to archive.org. This is George Moses Music Program CD1. This is programs you can load from Esoterica, George Moses, L&M Software, New Image, and the Tiny Arcade. This is all available in formats that you can download from Bally Alley, but I made it convenient here. This is the original disc that Ken Lill sent out with his, let's see, his Ultimate cartridge. It has all the documentation. Some more music that was converted from to WAV file. And finally, some promotional discs. These were converted from VHS to DVDs by Lance Squire, so thanks a lot for doing that, Lance. And I think that is it. Yeah, that's about it. Then we have a box which I know is empty. Oh, this is not an empty box. This is a composite mod that Ken Lill gave to me after he and I got together with Paul Thacker at the Louisville Expo in 2017. Gosh, was that already 2017? Wow, it's 4 years ago. Seems like it was just the other day. So I did get to meet Ken. That was really fun, and Paul Thacker for the first time, and only times I got to meet the two of those guys. And we hung out there and had a lot of fun. But I'm going to open this up and show you what it's inside. I've actually not used this. Well, let's see if I can't get this off without revealing an address here. Let's see. Most certainly there are monkeys out there that are smarter than me. It took me about 2 minutes to open this dumb box, and all it was I didn't know how to open it. So this is a composite upgrade that Ken Lill made and sent to me back in, what would I say, 2017, and it actually works and gives you composite out. I don't know if he's made these for anybody else, but it's just a small little mod. Michael Matty is thinking about making one of these for himself. I've actually not used this, but Ken sent it to me to try out, and I don't really have a need for it because I have a solution already. But I have 3 Astrocades, 3 of them. No, I was going to say 3 working Astrocades. Now I have 2 working Astrocades. assuming the ones I have in these boxes work. So here's this. The schematics, I believe, are on Bally Alley. I think I uploaded them years ago. If not, these are the schematics for it. So you can make one yourself. Yeah, so I'm going to pause that again while I put all this away because it's kind of a mess. But yeah, a little modern composite upgrade. Now that we have finished looking at the composite upgrade, I will continue going through this box here. Inside here we just have some stuff from the Bob Fabris collection. I have it labeled as for sale because I was originally going to sell these quite a few years ago, and I sold a couple of them. But most of them I hold on to and I trade with some people who, when I'm looking for something interesting, trade them on the side, you know, because they're rare. But this is the Multicart, originally sold by the Arcadian. So if I open this up, I think there was about 5 of them in here originally. I think there's like 3 left or something like that. Maybe there was 5. Now there were 7. So okay, so these are all the original Multicarts. So they all say test program. So you hear about these and they're pretty rare. But this is probably the most you'll ever see in one area at once. So let's see. Got test program, test program, test program, test program. So these are all the Multicarts as sold by the Arcadian. I assume that they were afraid of getting in trouble with Atari at the time, so they sold them under this assumed name. Let's see what else we have in here. We have these. So these were $20. This was published in 19. Oops, just hit the camera. These were or hit the tripod. This is 10 programs, the best of 1980, and I think these were all. This came out in late 1980 or 81. These were all programs that were published in the Arcadian, and each of the people who made the games, they got some kickback from selling them. I don't know how many were sold, but I have a list somewhere in the Bob Fabris collection, which is probably on archive.org, that shows how many were actually sold. So I think there were more than I expected. Maybe there were a couple hundred sold, something like that. So there you go. There's the tape. This is the 2000 baud version. It was also, I think, released as a 300 baud version. And if you open this up, you can see there are brief instructions that were made up. And also, what's interesting is I have all the original letters to the. So this was the best of 1980. So this might have been released in 81. But I have all the original letters that Bob wrote to the authors, asking for their permission to resell the programs, or to sell the programs, because before they were just available with the Astrocade or with the Arcadian newsletter. So 2-sided documentation. This is an original. All right, I'm going to pause here for a minute and try to put this away and clean up a bit. I put the original back in the box. I'm going to seal it up now. And I have about 15 of these altogether left. This is the only one with documentation. The rest of them are just the cassettes themselves. So if you check them out, Best of Arcadia 1980. All of these, many, many of them. And I also have a part on the top that says what it is, which is kind of cool. And originally, they, like I was showing in there, they also have a top label. All right. So you'd get your thing. It said Best of 1980, and then you'd open it up. I showed one of these boxes in my last video, and then pop out of there, and this was to protect your case. Right. I'm going to put this aside, and then I will move on to what else is in this box. This box here is an original box of. Originally, it had 10 copies of different programs. They were all Astro Basic. Now it doesn't. I think I got rid of all of them finally. Now it has an original copy of Galactic Invasion, which is still sealed. These used to be easy to find. I mean, there were cartridges that were easy to find. Star Battle, and this is not a box that's easy to come by. It looks like it's an original box. It is not an original box. So when I was making, this is a little bit of history behind this. This is a really, really, really rare game for the Intellivision master component. So you'd never see this out in the wild, or you can't find them for sale. This is a recreation. And when I was trying to come up with documentation for War in a box, I contacted many people in the community asking what would be the best way to go about making a box. And a couple of people threw me out some ideas. I don't remember how much this was to make, but this was sent off to me so that I could see if I wanted to make it like this. And it was a bit expensive to do, so I didn't want to. But the person said, don't sell this as new, please. This is obviously a reproduction, and it is. But it is a neat one to see. If you are into the Intellivision, you would probably like to have this into your collection. This is actually the only one I think it's the only Intellivision product I have, rather than the Recreation one that was sold a few years ago. Yeah, it's still pretty cool. It's inside, it's just a hollow box. Yeah, pretty cool. Maybe I'll give it away to someone who's a fan of the Astrocade, or well, a fan of the Astrocade and the Intellivision. How about that? You got to be one of, you have to be both. All right, so enough of that. And what else do I have here? In August of 2005, my buddy Ward sent me all the original stuff that was used in the creation of his multicart that he sold in 2001. I think he made 20 or 50 of them, I can't remember. And he made multicarts for the Astrocade and the Arcadia. This is all the stuff that was made for them. And I'll go through this box separately because there's some interesting stuff in here, including like lots of PCBs. I mean, these are all PCBs that because he reused common cartridges. He used to get them for a couple bucks a piece and then put his cartridge in there. And I showed his multicart the last time. All right, so I might go through that separately if you don't see a picture of it again. There's some cool stuff in here, like this was how like the dip switches were on these. Yeah, there's a couple other things in there. I might go through that again. I might not. We'll see. But now I'm going to do the third. Yeah, I might go through that again. We'll see. We'll see. Trying to do this standing up on my feet and figuring out what I'm doing is it's fun. This is going to be a slightly closer look of that box that I was just mentioning that has all the stuff that, well, a lot of the stuff that Ward was using to make his multicart for the Astrocade back in 20 years ago now. 2 decades ago, the first multicart came out for the system, or the first modern multicart, I should say. So these are PCBs, as I was saying earlier. Let's check some of this out. Space Fortress, you know. These are... Okay, these are Bally system. Interesting. Did you take this out of a Bally? A Bally Pinball Galaxian. These are not EEPROMs either. These are the actual off the carts, because he modified some of the cartridges. I think eventually he made his own PCB, but I think originally he was not doing that. I can't remember the details. He talks about it in posts on online that are now 2 decades old, but are archived if you look around for them. Okay, put that aside. These are many of the PCBs that from the cartridge shells. Like I was saying, I'm not sure why he... so these are the PCBs that were used for the actual 4K or 8K or 2K ROMs. Each one was a little bit different, I believe. Can't remember how it worked. I never really got into it too much, but yeah, put those aside. But how many of them are in here? About 12, something like that. So these are the paints that he used to, if you take a look and you have the Bally Astrocade multicart from Ward, you'll see this color and this color. This is a green, this is a orangish red. And these were to tell you if your dip switches were in the on or off position. Red, I believe, was on. This green was off. And yeah, that's what these are for. So if you wanted to know exactly what they were, you could buy this exact paint and touch up your multicart. Alright, so here's more cartridges. Here's Wizard. This one's empty. This is just a cassette cartridge case. This is actually the screwdriver that he was using. I'm not sure why it's in my box. Probably can't focus on it. But it's a Phillips screwdriver that he was using to take apart the cartridges. What else we got here? Oh, here's a sample dip switch. This one is actually not for the... this is for the Arcadia multicart. This is like a daughter board that he made. So if, let's say this was an Arcadia multicart, they were deep. He used the long ones. So he put the dip switches here. The multicart fit into the system. You plug it in like this. This was on the top, so it was handy to get to. That's actually not supposed to be in this box. We've got some more labels here. This one's labeled as Muncher. Huh. It's labeled as Muncher, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's etched here. I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what it's labeled as. Here's a template that he made, so he used this to recreate all of his multicarts. Let's see, this is something I threw in there. This is the audio dubbing cable that I use and still use to this day. It's part of the Gold series from Radio Shack, and it works really well. In fact, think that it was Paul Thacker who turned me on to actually this exact model or part number, or just to get a gold one. And Paul Thacker did some testing. Does it really make a difference between using a gold cable and not using a gold cable and just using one that's made of copper? Well, according to Paul Thacker, heck yes, it does. The gold cable, he was able to archive some material from tape, and with the copper cable using the exact same setup, he was not. So yes, it does make a difference. Let's see what else we have here. Some miscellaneous cables, another PCB. This one is a PC. I'm not sure what this PCB is. It's much different than some of the other PCBs. Wow, I sure am making a mess of this video. Yeah, this is I'm going to stress again that these are quick videos I'm putting out there. I've only been recording for as long as this entire video is. It's probably going to take much longer to edit out the crap and make this a little bit. You think the video looks bad now, and you've almost reached the end of this video. It was worse before, I'm sure. So here's another PCB. This one's got the cartridge or the ROM still installed. And finally, we have some paperwork. What do we have here? Oh, these are. Oh, this doesn't belong in here either. This is online and you can look at it, but this is the S-Video upgrade and how it's supposed to be installed into the system. And this is some stuff from my Bally Alley website from 2008 that I guess, nah, this looks terrible. Blue RAM keyboard connector pin setup. Dang. Some stuff from Ward. All right, well, that's it for this box. I'm going to close this up, move on to the next box, and thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying me going through all this. I should probably have a dust mask on. I talked about this in the last video, and I might have edited some of that out, but these boxes are dusty, dusty, dusty. But I suffer through it, so you don't have to. The label for this box from July 19th, 2012 is Astrocade cables, carts for setup. So I used to have all my Astrocade stuff labeled and done in a way so I could just pull out one box and then I had everything I needed. That is no longer the case. Most of my labels don't match what's in the box. First thing I want to pull out here is a box that is labeled as Astrocade Multicart. Already looks in here since I put some blue tape on here. This was sent to me in 2017. I think this is the last iteration of the Multicart that was sent to me by Ken Lill in 2007. So August 19th, 2017. So thanks, Ken. Let's see, next up we have many paddles or hand controllers for the Astrocade. I packed this up on April 6th, 2004, and there's each of these is labeled as if they work or not. So this one works, whoop-de-doo, and this one is, if you can see here, let's see if I can't get that facing up here. Okay, I can't even tell. Kind of scratched up. It says the number 3 on there if it can be seen. So this one is labeled as working. This one is labeled as paddle is dirty, and oh yeah, it's like barely able to turn. But these can be, if it's just dirty, they can be cleaned super easy. You open it up, spray some TV tuner spray in there, and bam, it works. It's just like magic. Don't ever spray WD-40. If you are interested, you can actually take out the pot and clean them. I've done it in Atari paddles, and then they work even better than if you actually spray like a TV tuner spray inside of them. Oh, this one's labeled 4. Yeah, what is this one labeled as? Joystick okay, paddle works, but hard to turn. Yeah, this. I mean, I don't know if you can say how much movement I have here, but I mean that is with great effort to turn that. And I could probably just spray that and get it tuned up just fine. Here's an RF modulator. I don't know how many I have in there. Let's see how many. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 12 hand controllers in there. Maybe one of them works. 2 of them works perfectly. The other all need some work in some way or other. Joystick okay, hard to move, and dirty. Woo, yeah. That's how the most of them are. Some of them look brand new, and that's because they were out of that box that I showed in my last video. So there's that. I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to and then come back in a second to show you what's at the bottom of the box, which is kind of hard to get to. Oh Lord, I am such a fool. So when I was making this last video that I uploaded actually just this afternoon, I realized, man, my stuff is in such a disarray. Like, look, I'll give you an example. I'll explain what's in this box later, but this is a prototype cartridge. This is Color Basic. This is the only copy of Color Basic in the world, except for the one that's been dumped and now everyone can play. but it's an 8K ROM, or maybe it's maybe this is actually two 2K ROMs. I can't remember, but I mean, I need to do something a little bit better with these to take better care of them. I mean, they've all been archived. I mean, there's no risk of them. Like if I was to zap this, there's no risk here. I mean, there's people who would probably collect this and I do enjoy having it, but obviously I'm not using it. But I'm gonna take this out of the box and show you a little closer what's in here, and also then I'll do that with something else I had in in another box. My collection is in complete disarray. I still have to go through, and I'm learning a lot and a couple of lessons this way, which is you gotta kind of find your stuff that you have and use it. Otherwise, this is what happens. It just goes everywhere. Yeah. All right. So, okay, here's another example. A prototype, the only version, the only copy of, I mean, there's a scan of this now, a high quality scan. This is of ADS monitor. I showed that prototype in my last video. So this is the keypad overlay for it, so that you could use a monitor with your Astrocade. And I don't remember the history of this at all, but the fact that here in my hand, this little scrap of paper is the only original copy of a keypad overlay for a prototype. And here it is, just hanging out in a box. You know, it almost seems like I don't care about this collection, but that's not true. It's just, you don't use them for a while. Things, I mean, it's almost as like entropy sets in and just starts taking over without you looking. But I was going to say, but that, you know, that can't be true. But obviously it might be true because it's happening. Look at this. Okay, what else we got here? Some more information on the little white RAM. This is the original. This is the original documentation for the little white RAM, and it's the CD-ROM. Oh, this is a video I've made just to capture some footage that I could upload. This is the original way I used to do it. This is Castle of Horror. That's totally outdated. This is the 10 minutes of various home videos that I put onto DVD. Just check it out. All right. Here we have some capacitors. I was going to recap my Astrocade, but I decided rather than to recap my Astrocade, I would skip that and not do it because I didn't want to mess up my Astrocade. Let's see, what was I doing? One day I was loading in a program called Memory Maze by Steve Walters, and I had to take some notes, and here are those notes. Probably this was written down so that I could take it and put it online. These are various cables that I would have used for video, things like that, on a regular basis. Okay, here's this might be the only one of these I have left. I mean, I hate these things, but this one says Bally Arcade on it, so I kept it. This is a TV switch box. This is the original. This is one of the only ones I ever had. I think I only had two. This one was in this poor condition when I got it. But here we can play the game. Ooh, Bally, you go, you go. And the TV. There we go. Back and forth, back and forth. And if I'd wanted to, this was on it. But this one I didn't even put on there. So if someone was using this in the 80s or the 90s. Some more prototype EEPROMs that I'm not taking care of. All right, well, this one I already showed. This is Color Basic. This is Rainbow version 1, and this one that's not got a label is also Rainbow version 2. So these are also prototypes, so you can try out. They display all 256 colors, or maybe one of them displays 256 colors, and one displays 32 colors on the screen at one time. And if anyone is aware of how the Astrocade works, that's, without doing tricks, that's not easy to do. Normally you can show 4 colors on the screen. Unless you split it in half, then you can show 4 different colors on the right, 4 different colors on the left, and that's it. Now, here's another thing that's a one-of-a-kind item. Well, it's not, but it's the only one I've ever heard of anyone owning. This is, I forget what this is even called, but this allows you to plug a speaker in here, or excuse me, a microphone in here, and then this plugs into the joystick port and supposedly can understand your speech. I don't have the documentation, well, I have some of the documentation, but the program hasn't been archived. I do have a type-in version of the program. I'm not going to type it in. I talked about it in an early version of the Astrocade podcast, or the Astrocast, but yeah, I'm not going to type in that documentation because I'm not going to use this. What else we have here? A car adapter for some reason. I don't know what that's for. Oh, I think I got it so I could, it came with a whole bunch of adapters, and I needed this for, I think I originally used this with my Blue RAM expansion. I can't remember. It's just an arcade adapter, or DC adapter. This is, okay, check this out. I actually contacted, I don't know if you've ever heard of Best Electronics, but they sell Atari merchandise. And this is my original adapter. I think it doesn't quite work right anymore for my Blue RAM. This is what the Blue RAM shipped with. They shipped with this, and at least some of them did. and this was actually an Atari adapter, and I contacted Best Electronics, so I was like, well, since it's made by Vidcom, it's an Atari adapter, it's labeled, and I couldn't not figure out anywhere what it was from. And I tried to contact Brad at Best Electronics, and he was interested. He was like, well, I don't know what that is, honestly, and he knows pretty much everything about all Atari parts. And I told him the part number, and you can't really read it now, but at the time I could read it. And he said, I have no idea what that originally came with. I think maybe eventually I found it on my own, but I think it came with a modem originally. All right, what else we got here? Some various adapters, and that's it. That's 6 boxes out of my collection. Well, six boxes out of my collection, and we will look at some more at another point. I've still got many more to go. These have to be put back, and I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. It's been really fun to go through it. It makes me realize I need to do something with all this merchandise and hardware and software and lots of stuff. It's all meant to be shared, you know, and talked about and played. I mean, what's the point of owning all this stuff if you're not going to use it? All right, thanks for watching. Hope you stay tuned and watch my next video. So long for now.